Episode 170. Boy, we're drawing it into 200, aren't we? We got Batman and Superman World's Finest, and we have Namor, as opposed to Namor. All right, let's talk about him right now. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thank you so much for spending time with me as we rant about movies, guidebooks, and television shows, as well as the occasional board game. I am your host, Frank Zanca. I'm an award-winning screenwriter, novelist, and comic book writer, as well as a filmmaker. And yeah, we're going to talk about these comics, but before we do, let's talk about my comics. We got Lords of LA. This is my vampire mob set in 1950s Hollywood, issue 2, which is coming in the mail right now. Here's issue 1, so it's coming in the mail from my printer right now. So if you would like one of them, I am signing them. So you can tell me in the comment section, but you can see the artwork is pretty dope. We also have Marilyn Monroe in there, and it's got vampire on vampire action. We have blood, sex, and gore, and all that stuff. Anything you possibly want in a vampire comic is in this. They are both 48 pages apiece. All right, so if you want one, again, just tell me in the comments section. And if you did miss Myth Lords, my card game with the classic monsters with artwork by the great Mark Spears, who does a lot of cover art from Marvel and DC, we are going to be doing Late Pledge, but right now it is closed. All right, so let's talk about World's Finest by Mark Waid, who is also going to be doing Justice League. I am going to check out the Justice League Unlimited and probably choose between the two of these because I'm not going to probably get both. I don't know how he can actually continue to write both. But this is about Eclipso. The first issue was basically Batman and Superman getting taken over. There is a few of other superheroes from on the Watchtower that got taken over by Eclipso. But, of course, the big ones are Batman and Superman, and this is kind of the story about what happens to them after the fact. But we start out with the crystal or whatever else that was on Watchtower falling to Earth. They crash on Earth, and you can see that all of the superheroes are there in a crater. How did they survive? I have no idea. But Batman and Superman come down, and they are, of course, being controlled. So right now, they are evil. And, you know, Eclipso kind of looks like the Green Goblin, except that half his face is a different color. But now we go into the Batcave where they surprise Robin, and Robin's like, this is not good. So he tries to escape. He uses these really weird goggles to figure out what's going on. Meanwhile, the other two just kind of sit at the computer and start figuring something out. But Superman goes off to deal with, I guess, the JSA is what I thought. But there's this other guy there who I really don't know who he is. But Eclipso and Superman are there. Bruce Gordon, I have no idea who that is. But meanwhile, we have Dr. Fate saying we have to unleash the rest of the Justice League who are trapped inside, like, the indigo crystal. And you have Robin, who is still trapped in the Batcave. And I don't know who this Bruce Gordon guy is. But anyway, so the JSA is going to go help. And he shines the bat signal, but of course, the Batman that comes to check out that is not what they were expecting, or they were expecting, because the JSA is there to surprise him. So the JSA divided into two groups, one to deal with Superman and one to deal with Batman. So the Spectre shows up. That was the big trap. And the Spectre, let's see if it's on the next page there. No. So Dr. Fate is dealing with Superman, and they're like, run! Yeah, we don't want to deal with Superman. Yeah, I don't know how that's going to work. And why is the Flash in space? It's very strange. But anyway, so the other guys are inside that crystal, and they kind of tell Hal that he's the one that's going to have to break them out. So Alan Scott is on the outside and Hal is on the inside, both blasting it. And then we switch back to Batman, and the Spectre snaps Robin's neck. This snaps Batman out of the fog, and we realize that it was all just an illusion to snap him out of the power that he was being beholden to by Eclipso. And I really like that picture of Dr. Fate there. I think that's really, really good. And I thought that Dr. Fate in the Black Adam movie, actually, he was pretty good by Pierce Brosnan. But anyway, so we have, Superman is chasing after the Flash and is just about to grab him when they throw him basically at the sun. And the solar energy allows him to shave off the Eclipso fog that was on him. Green Arrow kind of taunts Green Lantern and says, "Hey, what kind of willpower is that? Your mama could do better than that. My freaking little toe could be more willpower than that." And it gives him the final jolt to be able to break out of the thing. And then Batman and Superman, now free of Eclipso's control, now they all come up against Eclipso, except we have this Bruce Gordon guy who I still have no idea who he is, and they all get turned into crystal, and he laughs. And that's the end of that. So, yeah, it's an okay story. I mean, just okay. It will make a good film or television show. No, it's not very compelling. And that's why I'm going to basically choose between the two from now on. I think that Mark Waid's kind of running out of ideas now, even though he's really using the Justice League. I can't really imagine World's Finest continuing if he's going to do Justice League. Since it's basically the same book. I don't know. We'll see what he does. But this one's only okay, this thing. And I think that's because he's working on, Justice League, so his brain's kind of divided up where he's not doing as good a job as he normally would. All right, so let's jump into Namor. This is number 3. This is a Jason Aaron kind of retelling of Namor. I have no idea. I thought this was 4 was the last one, but I just read 4 and it's not. And this is the story of him having a battle basically with his grandfather, who is the current king of Atlantis. I don't know where his dad is. It looks like that his granddad is the one that, in this particular version of his origin, is the one that's raising him. And he's trying to be a man of the people. So Namor is kind of like Black Adam in a lot of ways. Because Black Adam cares for Kahndaq, but is very ruthless in his protection of it. And that's how I always saw Namor. And that was always the difference between Namor and Aquaman, was that Namor was just ruthless. Whatever he needed to do to protect Atlantis, he would do it, even if it meant going to war. Where Aquaman was more of a hero, that every time he left because he was a wanderer, somebody else would take over Atlantis, and he'd have to go win it back. So that was always the difference, where nobody really stood up to Namor because he always sat on the throne no matter what. He wasn't one that went off just adventuring. He was a completely different type of character. But here, he's a man of the people. He's stealing for them. He's getting food for them to eat. He is working with an activist who ended up trying to assassinate his grandfather, and then he disowned them. And that was led by this woman, who I forgot her name, who now he sees. So it's going back and forth in time, which is a little bit disjointed, because do I really need to see him younger and have all these things when he was younger to see the storyline of the 5 kingdoms continue? Not really. I really don't need to see the origin of him. But that's just Jason Aaron in a nutshell. So we have this is back in time. So this whole army is going to attack Atlantis, but they all stop when they see Namor, who is a child here, standing up to them. And they all just retreat. What? What? An entire army just retreats, and then he goes and charges after him, or after them. And the god that he is praying to of the seas speaks through the fishes to him. So they're retreating, and he goes and attacks and kills them all. Okay. Meanwhile, he did the same thing in the future with Atuma's. I got Atuma. I always thought that name was just very strange. So Atuma's army, he massacres them too. But this is in the future. So he allows himself to get captured by his old friend, the girl who was a child the last time he'd seen her. And now she wants to rule Atlantis. And Kaylani. And she's obviously, I think they're kind of taking that from the movie where she looks like Aztecian, whatever. So he can obviously, I think, rip apart from the octopus at any time, but he allows himself to stay captured. And again, the god is talking to him through the octopus. So Kaylani's like, you're not going to escape this time and spoil my plans because I'm going to take over. He's like, whatever. And then this is really about what the beasts, the next one for sure, is about the whole beasts of Atlantis, or the undersea. But here she's, talking about her whole army that is being compiled, and we get this really story-driven page where it's just a whole lot of text, narration about all of the people. This is where it gets kind of activist-y from today's point of view, where these people are in secret Atlantis because they feel like outcasts and nobody really, I can tell what he's trying to say here. But nobody's really adopting them into regular Atlantis, so they have to stay hidden and away from everyone. Whatever, man. And we get to see, all these other parts of Atlantis, etc. And, she's pointing the finger and whatever at him. She's a little bit annoying, is all I can tell you. But then they're going to get attacked. I don't even know what Marvel's doing. They got another... How many Spider-Girls can they do? It's crazy. The artwork is generally okay here. I wouldn't say it was great. It's just okay. It's serviceable. But then we go back in time where he is kind of hanging out with some of the fishermen of the surface world. And he's basically like Ariel at this point, where he's interested about what's going on. But then they capture some of the Atlantean tribe, and he goes all crazy and kills all of them. So, I know he's like a semi-villain, but I don't understand. He's a child here, and they're really, Jason Aaron is really villainizing him throughout this. So yeah, they're really jumping up the villain side to a million, just to show that he's kind of changed, being older. So yeah, so again, he rips apart the arms of the octopus because now they're getting attacked, and he's like, "You're not holding me back anymore." And we end up fighting this seaweed creature that I was like, "Is that Swamp Thing?" And then I realized it's two different companies. Can't be Swamp Thing. But it's a seaweed creature, and he's trying to negotiate with him, and she chops the guy's head off. Nice girl. And yeah. And he's like, "What'd you just do?" And he's like, "I just cut his head off. He wasn't using it, was he?" No. And the head is still floating around behind them. It's kind of gross. And then we get Stingray up here, and I guess because of what's going on, there are navies up top that are formulating. I don't know. But then he goes into the underworld portion of Atlantis, into this tunnel. And we have this whole big orca creature, which then we go into the next issue. So, I mean, I still to this day, I have not seen Wakanda Forever, and I probably will never see it. I canceled my Disney Plus subscription long ago when Ahsoka came out, because I was so looking forward to Ahsoka, and it was so disappointing that I just canceled it. I said I'm done with Disney. So I boycotted that movie, meaning Wakanda Forever, because they did Namor so wrong in that. I mean, so they just didn't even give a shit about his true origin or whatever. And really, Jason Aaron is not doing... I don't know why I'm still collecting it. Everybody says it's crap, and that I've been getting it. I just got the 4th issue anyway. And I don't know if... I thought the 4th issue was going to be finished with it, but it wasn't. It's still going. It's going to go into the 5th. I don't know if I'm not hooked on it. But Namor... You could have done a Submariner movie, but now after what happened with Wakanda Forever, they'll never make a Namor movie. It'll never happen because they destroyed the character. So I'm going to say no. The only time I think he might show up again, and they'd have to redo him, is in Fantastic Four, because he had a relationship with Sue Storm at one time. So they constantly flirted back and forth for a while. So I'm going to say no, and though this is okay, this is not top of the line weight at any sense of the word, and so that's a no as well. Although the artwork is pretty decent. All right, well that's it for me. Thanks again for watching, guys. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching all the way through. And yeah, I do this so that people not only are collecting comics, but people that are not. Can see what Marvel and DC and the independents are doing, because they're constantly taking things from Marvel, DC, and the independents and popping them on the big and small screens. So this gives you kind of an update about what's going on in the industry. All right, if you do want a copy of Lords of LA, let me know in the comments section. And remember to give me a like, give me a thumbs up if you can. And if you can subscribe, please do. I am trying to grow the channel out, so ring that bell, ding, ding. Hey, it's free. And check out some other videos as well, and have a great week. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.